And we're back with Benjamin Palmer, CEO of the Barbarian Group. Today we're discussing award season, which is almost upon us. And Benjamin, you've judged plenty of awards and are doing more this year. Any campaigns overall that are catching your eye in terms of, there's so many categories and everything else, and obviously you come from the digital background. I mean, is there anything, without giving your vote away or anything, but what overall has really intrigued you in terms of the submissions?
I've judged a few shows so far, and I would say that there were no surprises, sort of going in, the stuff that you already knew about, that you'd already seen, that you're like, that's probably going to do pretty well, did pretty well, and the trend is that the stuff that ends up actually being really famous and effective is the stuff that ends up winning a big award, which is kind of as it should be, there's a period of time, a few years ago, where lots of stuff was winning awards that maybe had a lot of interesting craftsmanship went into it, but nobody had ever seen it before, and so I don't think that satisfies the sort of the marketing requirements, if you hadn't seen it before. It's sort of a bummer when stuff that looks cool, or maybe another person in the industry would appreciate that you sort of got away with doing that for a client, but it didn't really work, gets awarded, and that's it doesn't feel super responsible, because you're saying that that's okay, and you're giving it this sort of gold prize, and that, that's what you should be doing, guys, you know what I mean? But I haven't really, none of the stuff I judged this year felt like it was in that direction, which was really great, and I hear Cannes has an effectiveness sort of award.
Yeah, they just
this
announced
year,
that jury for the first time.
Yeah, so that seems like a step in the right direction. And I'm actually on the board of the Art Directors Club, and one of the things that I like about that and how it's sort of evolving is that, it's first off, it's a nonprofit, which actually makes a huge difference in the sort of mindset of that. And they have an award show, but they also have a Young Guns award show, which is really focused on education and kind of bringing people up. That's something that you can't do on the web, is get people actually together and shaking hands with, their heroes or somebody that they aspire to be, The good stuff is when there's sort of more community around it, because it's actually really easy to see the work now. 10 years ago, you had to kind of go to the show to see what everyone was up to, but the internet's super good at that now. Yeah. So it's what's the stuff that you can do kind of culturally that you couldn't do on your own time,
It seems like with the award shows in the last couple of years, there's the trend of one winner kind of informs the other, or it just seems like the same winners in every single major award shows, the same people. Is that something you see this year again?
Probably. I would say probably the couple of things that are going to do well will do, but I don't know that that's because each award show is copying the other. I think it's sometimes it's just sort of, obviously that one was the best one of the year,
it's hard
and
to
so
argue,
it just and I think that's probably I don't see a major departure from that at the sort of tippity top level, but it's sort of the middle. The middle is actually more interesting anyhow. That's where you see 2 or 3 things from each show that you hadn't actually seen before, and you're like, wow, check that out, that's really so the silver or bronze winner might be the thing that actually ends up being more inspirational to you, because it sort of unearthed this campaign that just didn't cross your radar for some reason,
Yeah. Is Cannes still considered a crown jewel of the thing? That's or is that you see other award shows kind of, rivaling it in terms of importance to
I don't know that Cannes for, Cannes for international is just because it's sort of the biggest, and because it's in the south of France and it's a big part, you know what I mean? A lot of that, it's you want to win because you want to go to France,
It's an excuse to take the trip to the Riviera.
Yeah, for sure. I think in the digital world it breaks down very differently, because I think if you're maybe you have a more traditional advertising background or interest, then some certain shows have more meaning to you. And then if you're a digital person and you're interested in, like, you know, maybe some of the Flash Awards shows are more meaningful to you than an advertising award show, and like, so like the developers probably don't give a shit about any of that actually at all. You know what I mean?
Totally out of their
And
realm,
like
yeah.
it's totally out of their, yeah. So it's like, and I mean, me personally, I care if it's sort of good for the company, you know, if it brings us more interesting work, or if it means that more interesting people want to come work with us. But I mean, sometimes like getting like a good article in a magazine is just as sort of satisfying about that, you know, or just having something that you do actually rack up a ton of hits, you know.
Right.
Like, that's pretty awesome too, you know. Once you cross like the 1 million or 10 million mark on something, like that's, you know that you did
It's up
like,
there, yeah.
yeah, you're like that's awesome, and you feel great, and get some beers with the guys, you know. So
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Benjamin.
it's been great.
And you can see our full interview with Benjamin Palmer, CEO of the Barbarian Group, on MediaBistro.com. Thank you again. Once again, I'm Kieran Aditham, editor of Media Bistro's Agency Spy.